Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the introductions. So, we were given to speak on this topic of rise of vernacular and video,
Hello, sir.
which is kind of unprecedented in our country. So, we've got some data facts which have been put up here on the slide. Can I get a slide movement, please?
ಅದೇ ಮೊದಲು ಸೀಟ್ ಖಾಲಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರು ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಆದರೂ ವಿಸಿಟಿಂಗ್ ಆದರೂ ತುಂಬ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
So many may know this, but we just kind of put it for easy reference.
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬನ್ನಿ.
India has 1600 dialects, 30 languages. Constitution recognizes 22 languages with 1 million plus native speakers. With a 54 crore people adopting internet usage, 75% of India's population will be on internet in some form or the other. The important point to note here is that 9 out of every 10 internet users until 2024 will be an Indian language user. So that kind of says a lot for this panel discussion, and which is why we are going to focus on where is the demand, where is the supply, how is the distribution happening, what are the monetization opportunities, what's happening in video, and how is it being aided by technology. So my colleagues and my friends are going to cover on these topics as we go through. Some of the other data points for your consumption, there's going to be a huge growth with respect to Indian languages in the next 4 to 5 years. Some of the enablers for this growth, government has accepted. I think we are all aware of the various initiatives taken by the Modi government, and there is a huge investment which has been earmarked for the government digital drive. Localized content, content generation, voice recognition, Indian language enabled devices. These are again some of the back-end enablements which are happening, whether it is from the OEMs or it is happening from the content factories which are there all over the country, to basically enable the content generation in the local and the Indic languages. Other macro factors are rising disposable income, reduced mobile data charges, growth in smartphone users. I think everyone is aware of that, so I won't spend too much time on this. What are the propellers for consumption? The tier 2 and tier 3 cities are clearly kind of driving the demand. That is visible by all the behemoths of consumer internet, be it Flipkart, be it Amazon. They are coming up with a huge tier 2, tier 3 story for the prime reason that they are seeing those cities to be the potential consumers in every aspect, be it consumption of goods and services, be it consumption of content. The adoption of news and entertainment will be a strong 22% between now and 2021. And digital videos, on which Shailesh will kind of shed some extra light, will reach 45 crore people by 2020. There's a huge amount of time being spent on Vernac videos. We as an Asianet news publisher are already seeing those trends. We are present at a strong 210 million page views with 20 million uniques, and we cover only 4 South Indian languages. So Malayalam, Kannada, Telugu and Tamil is basically what is driving this traffic for us. So I can almost testimonize this metric here.
I think just to modify, I think some of the facts around social media. India is now the largest market for Facebook. Will soon be the largest market for LinkedIn, and it's certainly the largest market for non-Chinese social media for everybody.
So I think from here on, we'll jump on to some of these specific topics. So we'll start with the demand. So what we are seeing is that in the next 3 to 4 years, as a publisher, I'm kind of saying this. The increase in the internet consumption which will happen of 33 crore people, out of that 80% is going to be led by Vernacs, and hence kind of the engine for all the content which has to generate the demand which is getting created in all these tier 2, tier 3 cities is going to be very high. I was having the opportunity of exchanging some thoughts with Mr. Rajan Anandan, and he indicated that Google is now only focusing on non-English languages because the 30 crore increase of internet adoption they are expecting to happen only from Vernac and Indic languages. So that's the demand side of things. With respect to video advertisements, with respect to programmatic spends, all these techniques of spending or basically the advertisers is being focused again for the native and the Indic speakers. I will step aside for a second and seek some views from Shailesh on videos as to how are you seeing videos kind of mopping up this growth and what is happening there. in the native area?
Yeah, so like for what we really look for is a platform shift, and the rise of vernacular and video we think represents a platform shift, similar to the way that mobile changed many tech ecosystems and economies. That a new set of players who are focusing on this new area could disrupt lots of existing companies and create a lot of value. So whether if you're in social media, whether if you're in entertainment, whether if you're in healthcare, financial services, if you provide services using to a vernacular audience better than an existing player, and increasingly to provide to a vernacular audience, you often use video and voice and other forms of or new interfaces. We think you have a chance to build a business that supersedes a bunch that might exist already. The video in particular, it's been the single biggest, that application's been the single biggest beneficiary of Geo. That YouTube has roughly quadrupled monthly active users in the past 4 years since Geo was launched. And the amount of time that consumers spend watching video, even over the past 12 months, has doubled. So the amount of attention is certainly shifted and shifting increasingly to online video. What's very interesting there is it's just that the types of content that people consume also are very unique. Television was this long, linear, ad-supported format. Now online, short video is a huge trend. I'm sure many of you have seen some of the particularly Chinese apps that have focused on that. Second, the types of creators are very unique and interesting. I don't know how many people here might have heard of a gentleman named Boom Bam. Has anybody heard of him? Yeah, as in he's a guy that didn't exist 3 years ago. He's a leading celebrity on YouTube. And content that I would bet that most people here wouldn't be able to relate to, but has 8.5 million subscribers who follow. And so the types of content that are coming about are really different. And as was touched on earlier, just because they're addressing an audience that wasn't online before. I think that it was touched upon just the number of dialects in India that we're now starting to see. We monitor some content trends that some dialects come online that were never online before. And each of these niches in India are large enough that you could build a reasonable sized company. Another aspect of video that we find interesting is certainly monetization. That the big driver of television ad revenue growth for the last several years was regional media. Yeah. As channels went and created content in different languages. The disruption we think that will happen to regional media channels now as people go online, we think will be pretty significant, and that base will all be able to be monetized online. So it'll create some very interesting opportunities, and it's a trend that we're spending a lot of time on.
One thing which is also being observed, Shailesh, is that while we are talking of Indic languages, tier 2, tier 3 cities, the internet strength in those cities and those areas of the country continues to be a huge challenge. And hence the quality of streaming and the quality of content which as a consequence reaches those areas also remains suboptimal because ad dollars don't reach there. Retesh, if you could share some thoughts with respect to the distribution of this content into these up-country areas and what kind of role technology is playing along with distribution, that would be useful.
I think the prime example after the introduction of JioLive 4, there has been a tremendous demand of the content in those tier 2, tier 3 and remote areas of our country. Everyone understands that the maximum reach is going to happen in those areas, and technology will play the major role in helping the content reach the consumer, as well as technology would be needed to repackage the content for those people in those areas. JioLive has again introduced a feature phone to that market. We were all assuming that the smartphone is the end of mobile phone invention, but Google has recently invested in smartphone heavily. So we are seeing that with increasing content which is getting generated in our country and the increasing hunger in Indian consumer market for the content, these devices play a larger role, and technology will play the major role in distribution. we all say that content is the king, but unless you have a proper distribution channel, content audience. So yes, technology going forward, thanks to Geo, is a big factor now.
And what are some of the other non-distribution platforms which are not like an OTT, like a Live or a Geo, are doing to get their content across to these cities? I mean, are there kind of small innovations happening there in terms of reducing the bit sizes, packaging it better, streaming it faster? Because that continues to be a pain point, or that's the pain point for all the advertisers, and good content coming up for those areas.
So we've already seen that the quality of content which is consumed in the urban areas, the metro cities, which starts from a very high definition video, but there is a repackaging which is happening, there is adaptive streaming which is happening, and we can start streaming from as low as 80 to 100 kbps video bitrate, so that it can be delivered easily in those areas. And technology right now, with help of AI, machine learning, the optimization of the video quality, the percept image algorithms which have been developed by Netflix and being adopted by the likes of Akamai and probably Amazon, the technology is enabling that yes, a good quality content can be delivered at lower bit rates to all the audience.
Shailesh, what are you seeing with respect to your fund? I mean, when you look at in the vertical media tech investments, which vertical kind of the money is drawing more in terms of content creation, technology, and distribution? Those are the three distinct platforms or verticals, if I may, in this area. So where are you seeing, and what kind of trends?
Yeah, distribution is where the most money has gone, but it's been a difficult opportunity, difficult place for people like us to play it. That is Amazon, Netflix, Star, etc. That have put the most dollars into creating distribution platforms. That's where we think they're probably going to generate the most value over a period of time. But it's still it's such a deep J curve that the burn will be so immense there that only likely a large strategic can play that game in India. Content is where some money is going. It's a kind of a double-edged sword there. Today, there's so much money available, particularly from these distributors, that everyone is doing super well in creating content. The amount of money that Amazon or Netflix pays for shows is stuff that content creators in India have never seen before, and it's a small trickle of what they spend globally. But it's a great time. But that said, that it's hard to see, for us at least, how you have a long-lasting, scalable business in that area. That particularly these distribution platforms like to own the rights, and they tie you up for reasonable periods of time if they're paying you this much money. And you're like any type of content, you're not guaranteed to be able to create the next hit, and probably are likely not to. So it's a difficult place to play. What we are looking for, our folks is kind of change the rules a little bit here. That very few people have actually used the online format at all so far. Most of the content that is consumed up until short videos came along a few months ago really was long form content online, which was non-interactive. And did not really use any of the advantages of being on an interactive platform. So we're looking at people who are creating more interactive content, shorter videos for sure. Also people creating stuff that leverages some sort of gaming type effects. That we think that video and gaming will have will merge in a lot of ways. I don't know how many people here might play video games, but a huge aspect of video games is watching other people play video games today. If anyone plays Fortnite, what's a cool part of that game is that when you get killed, it lets you play out, see who killed you, and it's a digital video, computer-generated video that shows how the rest of the game progresses. So just the types of content that get created and the opportunities that creates, we think, is probably where, at least for us, we'll have better chances to invest rather than the traditional distribution or content creation.
Right. No, I resonate with that point, because as a publisher, what we are seeing is that the content, first of all, is kind of becoming quite cross-sectional now. So between news and entertainment, we are seeing the content shifting towards infotainment. So we are working on a bunch of investments and acquisitions that is all around native content creation, which is around series. They are lifestyle series, sports series, fitness, fashion. So I think the content is certainly kind of, with the distribution picking up so much of investment, I think the content will have to really become edgy, and the quality will have to really be kind of up and there. So that's clearly one trend which we are also observing as a publisher. Moving from the supply, so the demand situation and the distribution and technology, I would just like to kind of pick up again thoughts on monetization. So again, here there are some data points with respect to monetization. I think the market is almost there. So as an advertising market, digital is today 10,000 crores, and by 2021 it's expected to be 30,000 crores. Now 30,000 crores will almost be equating with the print ad market and TV ad market. So not to say that in the next 3 years are those two advertisement segments not growing. So they will be growing at a percentage rate of about 11 to 13, and digital ad spending will be growing at about 40 to 43. So that's the pace at which digital advertisement is kind of rapidly spreading. Another interesting data point and useful for publishers like us is that there are higher budgets which are being allocated by advertisers in upcountry locations and in tier 2, tier 3 cities. I mean, companies like Vimal Pan Masala and Ghadi detergent, which are not very fashionable brands for most audiences sitting here, have advertisement budgets which are a shade less than HUL. So kind of that gives us a lot of confidence, and there are many such brands here in Karnataka and in Kerala and in Andhra and in Chennai, where we are kind of going and reaching out to advertisers. The response rate of a native user, internet digital junkie, is much higher as opposed to a sophisticated suave English audience on an advertisement. So the recall which we gonna get from a so-called click-through rate, if I may use the metric, on a digital ad which is placed in a native audience is kind of proving out to be far superior as opposed to the other ads. So I think long and short, I think this is where the ecosystem is. There is a huge upsurge in the demand. There are advancements and innovations happening in technology. Distribution is attracting the marketing dollars, which will consequentially help get the content quality also be reasonably enhanced, and monetization opportunities are significantly increasing. So I think that pretty much summarizes our data points with respect to what we had to offer. There are a few challenges which of course continue to plague the growth. It's not kind of all hunky-dory and all sunshine. So there are poor regional content, low data speed, video vast errors are very high when it comes to native advertisements. There are still brands which think that it's not very cool to kind of go into these kind of areas and cities, but it's just a matter of time that it will catch up. So this is what we had to mention to all the audiences. I think we can throw it open for questions. We have 5 minutes left on the panel. Thank you.
My question is that these new age vernacular users, so they might not have smartphones.
Can't hear you.
New age vernacular users.
Yeah.
They might not have smartphones which can support a lot of heavy apps, the entire app. Simultaneously, we also see emergence and innovation in micro apps, streaming apps, or some other real estate in the mobile to consume content.
Ritesh.
Yeah, so this is already happening. As I told you that feature phone has again come back in India. India is a very interesting market where we just operate completely in a different manner from the other world. Content is again being repackaged to cater to those smart feature phones. The Jio has enabled the graph of data consumption has just shot up 90 degrees after the introduction of Jio in our country. The data cost
Technology.
exploding in this similar fashion. So and then exploding more. So yes. The reach has now come in, the data consumption has shot up. India is still very much hungry for the content, more and more content is required as of now.